Hello, my name is Susan. I'm a 35-year-old woman who firmly believed in fairy tale endings. Until 4 years ago, when my life took an unexpected turn. That's when I met Justin, who would eventually become my husband. What began as a romantic story filled with love and trust gradually morphed into a tale of betrayal within the confines of what seemed like a perfect marriage. Our first encounter happened on a typical Tuesday morning at the corner cafe. I was engrossed in a Scott Turow legal thriller, captivated by the plot's twists, when Justin walked in. His presence was striking, confident yet approachable, with a warm smile that felt genuinely inviting. "Is that Gish's latest?" he asked, nodding at my book with an interest that caught me off guard. "Yes, I just started it. He never disappoints," I replied, pleasantly surprised by how easily our conversation flowed. Over the following weeks, Justin and I discovered our shared passions for music, especially classic jazz, and our love for exploring quaint bookstores scattered throughout the city. He was charming, respectful, and always attentive, making every meeting feel like a reunion with a long-lost friend. One evening, as we strolled by the river, Justin's expression grew earnest. "Susan, I've never felt like this before. I think I'm falling for you," he confessed under the soft glow of the street lamps. His words ignited a rush of warmth within me, and I admitted, "I feel the same, Justin. You're unlike anyone I've ever met." 7 months flew by, and our bond deepened. During the cozy dinner at my apartment, Justin proposed, and without hesitation, I accepted. I loved him deeply and was optimistic about our future together. However, our engagement was soon shadowed by anxiety as the time approached to meet Justin's parents. His mother, Catherine, was a stern woman with piercing eyes that scrutinized my every move, while his father, though more approachable, carried a serious demeanor, especially when it came to marriage. At a formal dinner in their home, the conversation shifted to a prenuptial agreement. "It's just practical," his father declared, catching me off guard. Having dealt with an unfaithful ex, I realized the necessity of setting clear boundaries in relationships. Firmly, I proposed a condition: if either of us strayed, the one who cheated would owe the other $200,000. Justin looked at me, his face a mix of shock and admiration. "Susan, I promise I'll never cheat on you," he assured me sincerely. Our wedding was a splendid celebration filled with joy, dancing, and heartfelt promises of eternity. The first year of our marriage felt like a dream. We traveled to enchanting places, shared serene evenings at home, and supported each other's dreams and ambitions. Justin was more than just my husband. He was my best friend and confidant. After the excitement of the wedding, settling into married life was surprisingly smooth. Our honeymoon in Italy was magical as we wandered along the Santa Caterina del Sasso, two lovers lost in romance. "Can you believe we're here?" I asked Justin one evening as we watched the Eiffel Tower light up. He pulled me close and replied, "I believe anything is possible with you. This is just the beginning for us, Susan." Those days were filled with laughter, romantic dinners, and dreams of our future together. Returning home with a suitcase full of cherished memories, our connection felt stronger than ever. Our daily routine was simple yet fulfilling. Justin would leave for work each morning while I prepared dinner for his return. Our evenings were spent in deep conversation, discussing everything and anything. One evening, while tidying up after dinner, Justin said, "I never thought I'd be this happy doing ordinary things like washing dishes." I playfully splashed water at him, and he laughed as he caught it in his hand. "That's because you've got an amazing wife. It's all about good company," I joked. This simple, joyful routine highlighted the deep bond and shared happiness that characterized our life together. He once told me, "Marrying you was the best decision of my life." Despite the mounting pressure from others, especially the expectations surrounding starting a family soon, our joy remained steadfast. Justin's mother, Catherine, often dropped not-so-subtle hints during family gatherings, asking, "So, when are we going to hear some good news?" I usually deflected with a light-hearted joke, but her persistent questioning started to weigh on me. Justin would comfort me, reassuring me, "Don't let my mom get to you. We'll start a family when we're ready and not a minute sooner." Our first anniversary was a magical celebration, marked by a quiet dinner at home. Justin surprised me with a necklace I had admired months before, saying, "Happy anniversary, Susan. Here's to many more years of happiness." His eyes sparkled with love as we cuddled on the couch that night, and I felt incredibly blessed. However, as we entered our second year of marriage, The pressure from Justin's family, especially Catherine, began to take its toll. It was no longer just about starting a family. Her critiques seemed to infiltrate every aspect of our lives. Catherine's disapproval, often masked as helpful advice, turned every family visit into an ordeal. One afternoon, while I was setting the table for lunch, Catherine walked into the kitchen and eyed the spread with a disapproving frown. "Is this what you're serving? A bit simple, don't you think?" she remarked, her tone dripping with disdain. Clenching my jaw, I tried to maintain my composure as her criticisms didn't stop at my cooking. She found fault in everything from our home decor to how I spent my free time. One evening, while we relaxed in the living room, Catherine offered her unsolicited opinion. "You know, Susan, if Justin spent the money he spends on you on me, I'd consider hiring a proper cleaner and cook." Justin appeared uncomfortable but remained silent, which felt like a betrayal, leaving me simmering with frustration. "I'm doing my best here, Catherine," I managed to say, but the hurt deepened as I noticed Justin starting to echo his mother's criticisms, albeit more subtly. After one of Catherine's visits, he casually suggested, "Mom might have a point about the house. Maybe we should consider getting some help." A wave of hurt and frustration washed over me. I couldn't help but question Justin. "So, you think I can't handle things either?" He quickly backpedaled, insisting, "No, that's not what I meant." But the damage was already done. The constant criticisms and Justin's growing detachment began to strain our marriage, leading to petty arguments and turning our once effortless conversations into tense discussions. After one particularly heated argument, I found myself pondering aloud. "What happened to us, Justin? We used to be a team." He ran a hand through his hair, visibly frustrated, and replied, "I don't know, Susan. Everything feels so complicated now." That night, I went to bed feeling isolated and misunderstood. Catherine's subtle yet harmful remarks had not only invaded our home but were also eroding our relationship, making me doubt whether the love Justin and I once shared could survive this constant barrage of negativity. As our 4th year of marriage began, unease settled in my heart. The once vibrant flame of our love now flickered under the shadow of doubt and distrust. It all started with the repeated calls from a name that frequently appeared on Justin's phone, Brian. Justin's demeanor shifted every time that name flashed on his screen. One evening, as we were watching TV and his phone rang yet again, I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. I noticed the nervous glance Justin threw my way, trying to sound nonchalant as I asked, "Who's Brian?" "Just a new guy at work. No one important," he replied, his voice a bit too casual, the explanation sounding rehearsed. However, his behavior continued to change. He started coming home late more often, offering flimsy and inconsistent reasons for his tardiness. Even his wardrobe shifted, moving from casual attire to sharply tailored suits. One night, as he prepared to leave for another late work commitment, I couldn't help but notice his polished appearance. "Working late again?" I inquired, pointing out the change. "Yeah, big project," he answered, but the way he said it made me feel increasingly disconnected from the man I once knew so well. He spoke without making eye contact and added, "Don't wait up." The frustration I had been bottling up erupted, and I finally confronted him. "Justin, this isn't like you. What's happening?" My voice trembled, betraying my mix of anger and fear. He sighed heavily, his expression a blend of guilt and irritation. "I've told you, it's just work. Why can't you trust me?" "Because something's off. You're hardly ever home, and when you are, you seem distant, like you're a million miles away," I countered, desperate for clarity. Justin gave no response, merely grabbing his coat and leaving, deepening my sense of isolation in the silence of our home. That night, as I lay in our empty bed, I reached a painful decision. I couldn't continue living in this cloud of doubt and suspicion. I needed to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. The next morning, I took a step that felt like betrayal yet was necessary. I called a private detective. The constant stress and uncertainty had become unbearable, and I was determined to find answers. The ensuing days blurred into a haze of nervous anticipation as I tried to maintain a facade of normalcy while everything around me felt on the verge of collapse. Then, the detective's call came, shattering my world. "Mrs. Johnson, we found conclusive evidence. Unfortunately, your suspicions were correct," the detective said solemnly. He revealed that Justin had been unfaithful and that the person he had been speaking to, Brian, was actually a woman. The details of their secret meetings, complete with timestamps and photographs, were undeniable. Sitting there with the phone in hand, I was overwhelmed by a torrent of emotions, devastation at the betrayal, and a grim sense of vindication. My deepest fears were confirmed, not as baseless worries but as stark, undeniable truths. Now armed with this knowledge, I faced the daunting task of deciding what came next. I chose not to confront Justin right away. I needed to understand the full extent of his betrayal, not just the evidence of his infidelity. One evening, as I passed by his home office, I inadvertently overheard a conversation that sent a chill down my spine. Justin was speaking with his mother. "Mom, I'm planning to end it with Susan after your birthday," Justin said, his voice chillingly devoid of the warmth it once held for me. "Oh, that's wise, dear. Make sure she gets me a nice 60th birthday present before you drop the bomb," Catherine responded, her tone dripping with cold calculation. Leaning against the wall, I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. Not only was my husband unfaithful, but he and his mother were conspiring against me, planning to use me for one last extravagant gift before casting me aside. Fueled by a potent mix of anger and determination, I decided to play along. I carried on as if everything was normal, secretly gathering more evidence of Justin's infidelity. The detective provided me with photos, videos, and even audio recordings. I was meticulously building my case, preparing for the moment I would confront them. Each night, as I lay beside the man who had betrayed me, a plan began to form in my mind. I would wait until after Catherine's birthday, giving them the illusion of victory, letting them think they had outsmarted me. But when they least expected it, I would reveal everything and turn the tables. As Catherine's 62nd birthday drew near, I maintained a facade of ignorance, acting as if everything was normal. Inside, I was a cauldron of emotions, seething with anger and betrayal, yet strategically masking my feelings in preparation for the impending confrontation. With fierce determination to see my plan through, the days leading up to Catherine's birthday crept by. At a family dinner a few days before the celebration, Catherine casually mentioned her upcoming birthday with a sly smile, hinting, "So, Susan, I'm expecting a grand 62nd birthday. You must have planned something special for me." Keeping my emotions in check, I replied with restrained enthusiasm, "Of course, Catherine. I've arranged a dinner at the city's most luxurious restaurant. It will certainly be a night to remember." Her eyes sparkled with glee, oblivious to the trap I was setting. "How wonderful. It's just a small family gathering, right?" she inquired. "Yes, very intimate and exclusive. Just for close family," I confirmed, my words tinged with veiled irony. Later that night, Justin approached me, a hint of suspicion in his voice. "That's quite a generous plan for Mom's birthday. Are you sure about this?" I faced him, maintaining my composure. "It's a significant birthday, and I want to do something special for her." Justin seemed satisfied, though I could sense he was puzzled by my eagerness to indulge his mother. As the day of the dinner drew near, I handled the final arrangements with meticulous care, confirming the booking under Catherine's name, double-checking the guest list, and ensuring everything was perfectly in place for the grand evening. I played the role of the dutiful wife and daughter-in-law, all while preparing for the moment that would change everything. I masked my true intentions behind a facade, ready to expose the betrayal and deceit that had eroded our marriage. The night before the dinner, as I lay in bed, a twisted sense of satisfaction enveloped me. I was mere hours away from turning the tables on Justin and Catherine, prepared to unveil everything in a dramatic climax that would shake the very foundations of our relationship. They believed they were exploiting me for one last advantage before casting me aside, unaware that I was the one in control of this game. The evening of Catherine's 62nd birthday unfolded at a luxurious restaurant, every detail meticulously orchestrated to reflect the opulence of the occasion. While Catherine reveled in the extravagance, I maintained the role of the gracious daughter-in-law, my practiced smile concealing the storm brewing within. As the dinner drew to a close, the waiter presented the bill, an eye-popping $6,800. With a composed demeanor, I reached for my card, my heart racing. After I swiped it, I glanced around the table, catching Catherine's self-satisfied smirk and Justin's uneasy gaze. "Thank you for such a wonderful evening, Susan. This is truly generous," Catherine remarked, her voice laced with feigned gratitude. Seizing the moment, Justin leaned in, his tone final. "By the way, Susan, I want a divorce." His words hit me like a physical blow, but I refused to show any sign of hurt. Catherine added sharply, "Well then, I guess you should leave." This is a family gathering, after all. Without a word, I stood, maintaining my dignity amidst the internal chaos, and walked out of the restaurant. As soon as I was out of sight, I swiftly canceled the payment on my phone and blocked the shared bank account, ensuring that Justin couldn't cover the costs either. Back at home, I quickly packed my belongings, the weight of my decision settling in. I was leaving this chapter of my life behind, stepping into an uncertain but hopeful future. Soon, my phone erupted with calls. I answered, and Catherine's voice, shrill with rage and panic, filled my ears. The payment didn't go through. The restaurant staff called the police. "What have you done?" Her words were cries of anger and disbelief, but I felt a sense of release and vindication. I had escaped their manipulations and was now free to rebuild my life on my terms. I remained silent, letting her tirade wash over me. Their betrayal and manipulation had come full circle, now haunting them. After ending the call, I looked around the empty house that had once brimmed with dreams and love, now just a hollow shell. Taking a deep breath, I stepped out the door and didn't look back. Their desperate pleas for help continued, but I no longer felt obliged to answer. I had firmly closed that chapter of my life. In the end, they paid the price. Justin had to borrow money from his parents to cover the bill. Where the money came from didn't concern me. It was a small compensation for their betrayal. More importantly, it represented closure. Sitting in the lawyer's office, signing the last of the divorce papers, I felt a wave of peace wash over me. The journey had been fraught with betrayal and heartache, but I had emerged stronger and more resilient. Walking out into the sunlight, I felt like a truly free woman, ready to embrace a fresh start. The future was uncertain, but it was mine to shape. After all the darkness, I finally felt like I was stepping into the light, ready to craft a new chapter on my terms.